This is wishing our Nigerian viewers a happy anniversary. Today I'm making public a video I recorded sometime in June 2020 about my journey to Canada. This video was originally shared with friends on my Facebook profile. This is a memorable moment. I relocated to Canada in late September of 2005. I moved to my first rental apartment on October 1st, 2005. And the apartment number was 1005. In truth, there is no coincidence. Enjoy. Hi, it's Ade Ajayi of StirUpYourPurpose. The day I denied my country of origin and the promise I made to myself. I've been wanting to do a video for quite a while around this topic, but I've been I won't deny it, I've been very lazy. But now that Canada Day is around the time, because this centers around the early days of my when I moved to Canada. So the topic is the day I denied my country of origin and the promise I made to myself. I moved to Canada, I would say it's over a decade now, And one of the key reasons why I moved to Canada was because I have had that desire to live abroad. I've had that desire for quite a while, right from my high school days when before I got admitted to the university. I've shared this before, I spent an extra year in my high school, and at that time I just had this desire to just move abroad, to live abroad. But it never happened, and that desire has always been there. And along the line, after I started working in the oil and gas industry, and also I've mentioned I've been in personal development for quite a while. I guess maybe it was one of those materials of Proctor that I read that ignited that passion once again to move abroad. And but at that time I already reached a stage in my life whereby I was more like settled down. I had a very beautiful career, and I was very picky about where I want to move to. So Canada had that attraction. There was that extra attraction about Canada, in that when you move to Canada, you have that opportunity to become a citizen after 3 years. So that for me was a kind of a key aspect of choosing the place, because I couldn't actually find myself moving to UK there, because UK was close to us, but I didn't have any attraction for UK. But Canada had that extra appeal in that you become a citizen after 3 years. One other aspect was this. Two other aspects were, I also had this goal of earning a specific amount, and also this part that, when we go to, in those days, Nigeria was not kind of welcome around the world, right? You go to the embassy. I didn't like the way we were treated. It was not too great. I didn't like it, the way they treat Nigerians, and trying to get our visas, and I saw, having a citizenship from another part of the world will probably make a difference. So that's another aspect. Another aspect was the corruption corruption, bribery. I never felt comfortable with those things. And though for me, even in my career, even if I look at my clientele, very out of, I would say, my clientele when I was in the oil and gas industry, I would say less than 10% were actually demand bribes from me, because maybe I was lucky, I was dealing with multinationals and things like that. I don't know. But anyway, all around, that there's bribery, there's corruption. And for me, integrity matters. And I felt more like, I don't want to get polluted. So that was another driving force. I didn't like all this corruption and briberies and things like that. So those were the underlying factors that made me to make that move, because that's when I applied to immigrate to Canada, even though it took 4 years before I actually got my permanent residency visa. 4 years is a long time. Even by that 4 years, I was already way up in my career as well. So, and you're already in your 40s, right? Early 40s. It's not easy to uproot yourself because you've already settled down, made a career. It's not as if you're struggling, not at all. But I still say, those were the compelling factors. I said, okay, I will. And I also knew I also had that awareness and understanding that wherever I step my foot upon, I will always succeed. So those were the driving force. So that's when I moved to Canada. But oh boy, I was expecting red carpet treatment. Not that it was not as I had any issues in clearing custom or anything, but it was a whole different thing when you move, when you immigrate. It's like you're starting all over. You have to position yourself and things like that. And the area I was looking at was marketing, because I felt I was very successful in marketing, and also my personal development background. I just had that understanding that I will succeed. I won't go into details about personal development all around my Facebook, things I post. That's very clear where I stand in this area and my awareness, my understanding. So, but that notwithstanding, the first few months were, I would not say, were not kind of easy. This is a new country, you need to adjust, culture shock. Maybe one day I'm going to do a video specifically around the culture shock for me, because it's a different thing when you go to a country. It's not as if I've not been traveling, but you go to a country, you just go visiting, right? You visit, you stay maybe maximum 3 months, I don't know, 4 months, you're back to your base. But now you're calling a new place your home. It's a whole new ball game. You need to think of, work and so on. But without going into details about, the experience I had about when I was applying for jobs and things like that. But I actually landed a very nice job in a finance company, one of the top finance company, in marketing, mutual funds and stocks. So that was what I was trained for. So I had that opportunity to work with that organization. And I would say, even those who have been, when I share my story with some people who have been in Canada for quite a long time, they get surprised that I could get some of those jobs, even though I was brand new, but I was able to land those jobs because this particular finance company, they pay for your studies whilst you're studying to become certified to trade in mutual fund and in stock, because you have to be licensed. So the license, you have to take a very rigorous exam, to become a stockbroker, and also market life insurance. So they actually take you through the training. Whilst you're in training, you are paid for the pay was pretty good. So for you to get that job means that they get out to prove yourself. I never thought about it because I just thought that I'm going to get a job, and I got it. But when talking to other people who have been in Canada, they look surprised. So that's going to be another video I'm going to do around, being able to attract the even where they say it's impossible or it looks impossible, how to attract those kind of things. Your mindset in being able to get such to break all those so-called barriers. I'll do another video around that. But just before I get distracted, so this topic is about the day I denied my country of origin and the promise I made to myself. So I got this job in this finance company. So I think the training lasts for about 3 months or so. But you have to pass the exam. Otherwise, if you don't pass the exam, they let you go. So, but they pay for you for that 3.5 months or so, and then from there, you do your final training, and then you have to you have a location like I think it's about a 3 or 5 mile radius where you set up your business, because it's a business that you are doing, right? But for the first 1 year, you're supported, you are paid for the pay, but then after 1 year, you go into full commission, but you're building a business of your own. And so their business model is that we go around. So once you have mapped out your own territory, and then you go around, you actually go knock on doors. Yeah, that's the hard part. You go knock on doors and introduce yourself to your neighborhood, and you let them know, I'm a new financial advisor with this particular organization. They're pretty well known, and that you're about to set up your office around this area. But then at that moment, you're still trying to build your clientele, introducing them to your product, the shares and mutual funds that the company offers. So that was what I was doing. And so there was this day, one of the doors I knocked on was a young guy. I think it was from a British, immigrated from England to Canada. A young couple. I think maybe he must be in his probably in his late 30s or thereabout, with young kids. So I knocked on his door. It was very friendly, and I introduced myself. My name is Ade Ajayi, and I'm here to introduce you to my company. I'm a stockbroker, and I'll be opening my office here very soon, and introduce them. The whole idea is to sell, right? You want to close the guy. And the guy was very nice, and then he said, "Oh wow, that's nice that he's actually thinking of investing." And then we chatted. It was opened up. We shared it. We talked, and I explained what are the kind of different products we have to offer. Then they said, "You know what? Let's book another appointment." So I think I went there the next day or so, day after or thereabout. Then we continued to talk. He actually introduced me to his wife, and we got talking. And then he asked me, "Where am I from?" That is where the issue was. I mean, that's this is the main meat of this long story. Honestly, at that moment, I saw before me a sale that this guy, I've already closed it. There was a rapport, there was a connection. Now he asks me, "Where am I from?" And I blotted out, "Ghana." I said I was from Ghana. I denied my country of origin, Nigeria. You know why? Because I was caught in that moment about what Nigeria means. Here I was, I'm selling product. I'm going to be talking about finance. I'm going to ask people to invest their money. And at that moment, what came to my mind was the story, the image of my country, Nigeria. the image we have abroad, the image that some people have created around my beautiful country, Nigeria. And that moment, I denied my country. I said I was from Ghana because I was afraid. If I said Nigeria, would this guy say talk to me? Would this guy look at me with the eyes of fraud? They call it 419, advanced fee fraud. Is that the way it's going to perceive me? That was what was going through my mind. And I stayed through it with it. And the guy now said, oh, he's been to Ghana before. And if you knew the way I felt then, but I still kept a straight face. He said my name. I said, oh, my name is Adele. He said, my name doesn't really sound like those Ghanaians. I said, well, I can't even remember what I said, but I just wangled my way. And I kept a straight face. And I left that day, still with the lie. And then, he said, okay, we should meet again. I booked another appointment with him. I think that time, even that, maybe that was when I was supposed to I met the wife. Not this time that when I said I was from Ghana. The next time I went, I actually met the wife then. They offered me drinks and so on. So we continued talking for me to actually, because sometimes you have to meet a client about 5 different times before you actually close the sale, because we're talking people to invest, I don't know, $20,000 or whatever, or $5,000. We're not talking small money to invest in stocks. So I went again, still with my story of a Ghanaian. Though, and honestly, when I go, I was just hoping that I would just close this guy, and that the story, that conversation will not revolve around the country. But when I went again, we still talk about, about Ghana and about, man, I was just making up things, man. Honestly, I was making up things. And then later on, then you now say, am I married? Yes, I'm married, and I have a daughter. And then say, I think it was that was should have been on a Friday or so, or Thursday. And they say, well, they're having something special in their church, that would like me to come to their church. And I said, oh, that would be beautiful, Well, just to also show that I'm a Christian, because I always saw this as a complete sale. There's a rapport. Everything seems to be going fine. So I told my wife, and there's from this new, but somebody I'm probably going to close, and it's going to be probably my first client. And then it's invited us to come to their church. So Sunday came, we went to their church. Very nice church. It was, I think, it's a small church, but mainly people of European descent and a few people from Africa. So after the church service, I looked for the guy. I found him. He kind of very happy to see me. The wife too came and greeted me. And then he said, come, he wants me to meet the assistant pastor. And then I met the assistant pastor. As soon as I saw the assistant pastor, he's from Africa. And then he said his name. I think maybe his name is Sheomu, but it was a Yoruba name. Man, my heart dropped. I just wish that the ground can open and swallow me. Here I am. I've told this guy a lie that I'm a Ghanaian. And I'm about to be introduced to a fellow Nigerian. Man, I felt ashamed. My wife was there beside me. This was the worst day of my life. And then I came out straight away. Sorry, I'm a Nigerian. I don't know what happened. I lied. I'm not a Ghanaian. I've only been to Ghana a couple of times, and the only time I've been to Ghana was when I was doing I planned to get my permanent residency, and that's the only time I went to Ghana. Not a Ghanaian, I'm a Nigerian. Man, I felt so, honestly, I knew that God wanted to show me something. God wanted to let me to learn something. So that was what happened. The drive back home, then I told my wife what happened. This is the story. My wife said, how can you do that? How can you lie and say you're a Ghanaian? And that was a promise. So this topic is the day I denied my country of origin and the promise I made to myself. Because I knew right away that the Lord wanted to tell me something. Yes, Nigeria has several issues. Even though when I left Nigeria, even though I know, like I said, one of the key reasons why I left Nigeria was because I didn't like bribery. I didn't like the corruption and things like that. I just want to live a life of integrity. But even at that, honestly, like I said, I didn't really have to, I didn't take bribe myself, even though I know there are certain things I have to do that you have to give bribe, but out of the clientele I have, was the Lord showing me, out of the clientele you have, didn't I help you? You know, now here I am. I wasn't too proud of my country and I denied my country. So that's when I knew that, man, never again will I ever deny my country. I am a Nigerian. I am proud to be a Nigerian. Yes, I will never deny the atrocities of a few people who, through their corruption, through their fraudulent activities, debase our nation and make it difficult for those who are people like me that are out here in the foreign land to make us to be ashamed. Because honestly, like I said, when I met that guy, I was ashamed. Why? Because the only shame I carried was because of the story. And I know the story is not as if it's not real. We have a lot of people who defraud. They defraud other people through their fraudulent activities. But when you defraud, you forget that you're also belittling your nation. You're also making it difficult for others of Nigerian origin. But then that was a promise. This is where I'm talking about this over a decade ago, right? Over a decade. That was the first few months after I landed in Canada. That's what this experience I'm talking. It was just a few months after I landed, right? That was one of the first jobs I got, right? But then and then I told myself, never again will I ever deny my country origin. I am proud to be from Nigeria. I'm proud to be an African. Yes, I do not deny the atrocities done by a few of us who belittle and desecrate our nation through their activities, fraudulent activities, 419, corruption, bribery, and all those things. Because all those activities, one way or the other, affect every one of us one way or the other. Let's not deny that. So that was a promise I made to myself. And that's a promise I said I will always keep. I will never deny my country again. And I will make to become a better version, to be better than the best I've ever been. Thereby, anybody that interacts with myself, not just only interact with me, but they also extend to my country of origin. They will know that yes, they've interacted with a Nigerian, they've interacted with an African, and that will be the experience of what I have to offer experience of positivity, experience of integrity, experience of being, how will I say it, to be the best version of who I am. And everything I touch, everything I do will leave a mark, a legacy that anybody from the world will be proud to identify with. So another long rambling, another long video. And that's my story. How I denied my country of origin and a promise I made to myself that never again will I deny my country again. Never. Because there is no way the way all things are orchestrated. Can you believe that? I was disgraced in the church. That's the way the Father works. When you say you're walking with the Lord, you have to go all the way. But when you step out, the Lord has a way of making sure it brings you back, into the correct line. And I hope you got one or two ideas. I'll get into more details of more of my experiences, the earlier days of my Canadian being a permanent resident, those earlier days of the kind of jobs I did, those few months, and how my personal development, I would say, supported me or aided me in attracting even some jobs that some people could not even attract, even they've been here for several years. It's not by my strength, it's just because I live a life of a principle. And when you live a life of principle, even though you step out of line, the I that you are, which is God, will always bring you back on the right path to be a better version of yourself. All right. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a great day. Bye.